Well, it's very nice to be here with you today. Similar to what Mayor Hartwell did this morning, it was a pleasure to introduce him. I'll tell you some things about what cities are doing, at least our city in particular. And if you look around the nation, where is the action concerning energy efficiency, concerning renewable energy? In the government sector, it's in cities. And cities across the country have taken this on. There's a lot of reasons for it. Certainly, we cast energy efficiency in everything we do as a way to save our taxpayers money. And if you look at what we do, and if you look at what's happened so far, you'll see that that's true. Ann Arbor's had an energy commission and an energy plan. The commission started back in '81. We have a lot of partners that we work with. Our Downtown Development Authority has been instrumental. We have our recently updated climate action plan. And we work, again, with partners. Back in 2005, I went out on a limb at the time and said we would make 20% municipal or renewable energy from municipal operations by 2010. 20% by 2015 for the whole community, and that's what's turned out to be difficult, and I'll explain why. We started out with some hydro, a couple of dams. They're older, marginal, but they do produce energy. We have some landfill gas when we started out. We did some simple things, like anyone would do with their home, with insulation, with upgrades across the board. System that cuts energy use by about 60%. And a key person, as we made all this progress, was Dave Conkle, our first energy coordinator. You cannot do this, of course, without a dedicated staff person. Ann Arbor and Grand Rapids are probably the only cities in the state that have a dedicated energy coordinator to work on these issues. We established an energy bank. So you take the savings that you're generating from your energy conservation, pour them back into new projects from the energy bank. We did some things with solar. We were named a Solar America City, which came with a little bit of money and a little bit of expertise, an award from the federal government. I think the program has pretty much been left behind now. Farmers market solar projects been very popular. Pools heated with solar energy, pretty easy thing to do. It's been going on for a long time. It's nice when you're putting up solar panels for solar hot water on your fire station when you have a great big truck that you can lift everything up there. And the folks at the fire department had a lot of fun working with the contractor to install these. Fire stations, city facilities, hot water across the city heated that way. This is a model project. Actually, it's one that I had a chance to work on even before I was elected mayor, which happened in 2000, the Leslie Science and Nature Center building. This is a structure that is not hooked to the sewer system, that supplies most of its own energy, that pretty much heats itself. It is a remarkable place. It's a demonstration for people in building, and it's something we operate as an environmental education center. So children come on buses from all over the area to go to environmental education. Again, something very, very essential for the future. Artwork incorporated in solar water heating to make it a little more fun at one of our pools. So again, trying to get people involved and happy and saving money as we move down this path. The LED lighting program in Arbor, what I'm told is we were the first city in the United States to convert all their street lighting to LEDs. Now, there's a good side to that. We've done it. The bad side is we only own about 1/3 of the lights, and DTE Energy owns the rest. We would love it if the Public Service Commission, if there's anyone here, would come out and say, energy companies, you need to reform. You need to be changing the way that you do things and move into a different future. Obviously, tremendous savings. A study done by folks right here at the business school showed that the LED lighting program pays for itself in 4 years. Wow. Pretty nice return for a city. We invest in a water pipe that may be down there for 60 or 70 years. Including energy as a part of everything we do, so that when there's a project that is coming forward, somebody from the energy office is having some input into that. We've recently completed a couple of years ago a new police courts building, a LEED Gold building. Everything that you might expect in that building, Energy Office was very much involved in that project. But our problem is that all the work that we do, and we achieved 20% renewable energy for city government operations, by 2011, and we continue down that path, as you'll see in a moment. But the problem with it is we can do all sorts of work, but that little waste management up there, that's our biggest user, is wastewater treatment. But there's about 1.2% of the energy in the city that is used by city government. So how do we get what we're doing out into the community? That has been our challenge. We've pretty much insulated the last piece of city property. Maybe there's a few left. We've got solar water heating. We have gone a long ways down the path, although there's always more to do. Back to, just for a second, to this one, I don't understand why in this state, every time you build a Walmart or a Kroger, you don't have to use the latest and best lighting standard in that building. Something that should happen, something that when Mayor Hartwell and I were on the Governor's Task Force for Climate Action several years ago, we recommended along with others. It hasn't happened yet. So how do we get at these other sectors? Obviously, we're here at the University of Michigan, that big yellow one there, and they are working very hard nowadays to make this happen, and there's lots of people who could tell you about that here today. How do we get to the commercial sector, the residential sector, and transportation sector? We went after the transportation sector. This was back in 2006. I launched the model for mobility. Right now, Ann Arbor ranks in about the top 15 places in the country for the number of people who walk or bike to their destination. We were number 10 in the nation last year. Actually, we were number 4 for an increase in bus ridership, and we are number 10 in the nation for the percentage of our residents who use transit to get to work. This is a statistic that starts at the top with places like New York and Chicago that have robust public transit systems. We are working on ours. Model for mobility is a whole plan that brings rail into our city, and we're working on that. It's getting better. We have some hope there that expands bicycle lanes, as we've done by about 700% in the last 7 years. It expands, again, walking and biking and getting people around without their automobiles. A hybrid bus, something we started to invest in along with some help with the federal government quite a few years ago. We also have recycling trucks that when you put the brakes on the recycling truck, it charges a hydraulic system which fills up a tank and uses that power in a quick release to thrust that truck to the next stop. So you have a vehicle that spends most of its day stopping every 100 feet. This technology will thrust it forward. That, again, is working out very well. And the difference in cost is much less than when you go with something like this that is battery powered. We are working with MDOT for a couple of train lines, and that is a train that is owned by the state of Michigan, and refurbished cars from the Chicago metro area. The Mayor's Green Fair, something we started this year in June, will be the 14th, again, to get this information out to citizens. Every sort of new type of technology that has to do with energy conservation, renewable energy is displayed at the Green Fair. We make a party out of it. The solar band is playing over there in the corner, powered by solar energy, saved up for a couple of days in batteries to power the band. And everyone has a great time and comes out on Main Street, dedicated that night to renewable energy, anything pretty much green. So then, in 2011, updated the challenge, but you'll notice that we're still trying to get over the top on whole community, and it's actually gone down from where it was back in 2005 because we just have not had that success. What do we need to get there? Well, back in 2005, we had hopes that the wind energy fields that were being developed in Michigan would move along much faster. We had hopes that the state was going to take more action, that more things would come along quicker. They didn't. We've become a little more realistic now. We realize what a slog it is going to be to get this out. Although, in our city, we have citizens who are embracing this. We have citizens who are insulating their homes to the max. We have historic homes that have been redone, and we have a historic home on the private sector, a gentleman who has turned it into a zero energy use home. So it produces all of the energy that it uses. So some people have picked it up. Public information has really been going out for a very long time. We've had seminars. We've continued to talk about all of these things that can be done to help people to become more energy efficient. And once they're energy efficient, what can they do for renewable energy? We have a web tool that you can go on and find out what is the solar potential of your home, of your property, of your business. So you can go and very quickly determine, Should I go with solar hot water? Should I put this on my roof? Is it a good option for me? Many homes in Ann Arbor, because we have such heavy tree cover, maybe it doesn't work so well. Others it will. Again, a complete map of where you are, telling you what your solar fraction is, and how you can move forward. Solar potential tool right there. Working with our Downtown Development Authority, we began to attack buildings in the downtown area.
Right.
The Downtown Development Authority has been instrumental in moving forward with this program. Energy audits, you can see a little bit of a map of where this has taken place, where the action has been, and a few of the examples coming up here. Zingerman's Delicatessen, often stated and I think ranked as the top deli in the United States. Their new addition, LEED Gold, and they've done a whole lot of work on their old one. Quite a bit of that with assistance coming from, technical certainly, from the Downtown Development Authority. We have a very high-tech display of renewable energy on one of our great downtown breweries. Geothermal. One of the things spurred along by what's happening at our Downtown Development Authority with grant programs to help people with their buildings to get over the top. We have a resolution that we recently passed at City Council where we are now moving into a program where all of the larger buildings in the city will begin to report their energy use, to grade that energy use so that tenants can take a look at the energy use in one building and compare it to another, to be able to get them aware of the energy they're using. If you think about how when the clock was turned on pollution that was rampaging in the Great Lakes back in the 70s, one of the ways to do it was to force companies into reporting exactly what they were putting into the waterways and into the air, and they began to self-police. This will begin to happen with energy. Again, the private sector, geothermal, closed-loop system, just running down there to heat their building, quite a large building. Arbor Brewing Company, there's the owner, very proud of his panels. They're also recycling any waste from the brewing process, and they have another brew pub over in Ypsilanti that is even more coated in solar panels. Google office here, they've gone into it in quite a big way. Very efficient building with their own power on the roof. You might think of Ann Arbor as maybe not the sunniest place in the world, although you wouldn't know it today. But we do have cloudy days once in a while. We do get some help. We have some partners in town, but the PACE program, Property Assessed Clean Energy, I'm sure this audience is pretty familiar with it. We started it in the state of Michigan, went to the legislature, sold them on it. Really the big holdup in PACE right now nationwide is coming from Washington, D.C., where the lending industry, the mortgage industry, does not want to let property assessed clean energy take off in the residential field. Our residents would love it. With this program, we can give a very, very low interest loan for people who want to make energy improvements. For the most part, energy conservation on their home. They then pay that back over time. Most often, and we're experiencing this with businesses, most often we can make that payment match the energy savings. So pretty much not costing the building owner, the homeowner, anything out of pocket to go with this program because of this. We can apply it to multifamily housing, but beyond that, it's limited to the commercial sector right now, a change that needs to happen in Washington, D.C. Again, another way to finance people's energy improvements. Another one of our very important partners, our city next door, Ypsilanti, is trying to make a whole lot of headway in solar and moving again, as a lot of cities are, to become much more energy efficient. Back in 2005, with the first energy challenge, I issued a challenge to power companies to say, if any company that could deliver us renewable energy produced in Michigan, we will sign a long-term project, be that wind, be that solar. We will sign a long-term 20-year contract, and in fact, we'll even pay a little more in the opening years than the current price of electricity, and we will get that to even out as time goes on. To this day, nobody's taken us up with it, but we are still looking, and the offer is still out there. So we are looking in the meantime where we can put large-scale solar here in Ann Arbor. We are in discussions with DTE Energy. We've got a couple of sites picked out. As Mayor Hartwell said, putting solar on top of your water treatment plant makes tremendous sense. These are facilities that work year-round, 24 hours a day. They're working in the daytime when the sun is out. This is an interesting slide. There's some old-time renewable energy. That's my wife trying to keep up with the dog who's pulling a load of firewood. And she's pulling a load of firewood to this house. There she is, the dog anyway, on the shore of Lake Superior. So why is this slide here? Well, it's our house. We installed a solar system. Solar system isn't large, as you can see. It's a 2 kW system. It only works because this house was built to be super energy efficient. It heats itself with wood. Someone is at that house about every month of the year. Often in the winter, as you see here, we are there. And except for the period on about 30 days of either side of the winter solstice, this house supplies all of its own energy. It is not connected to the grid. It has a washer, a dryer, a refrigerator, and a dishwasher. It has state-of-the-art lighting, but it works. So what do I think about this house and why do I have it here? If you can do this on the eastern shore of Lake Superior, I would suggest that you can do it just about anywhere else in the United States. I would be happy to take any questions you might have.
Any questions? Why don't you go to the mic line?
That big deck in the front looks right out over the Lake Superior. Clear view. You can turn around, come around to this side of the deck and watch the sun come up, and then you can go over to the other side and watch the sun go down. And the moon and the stars are pretty amazing. And then you can hear the noise from the big beaver pond out behind, all the animals that live back out there. The frogs certainly, but the sandhill cranes are quite amazing. On the other side of the deck, you can look off into a meadow that you can't see here, and you will sometimes see a moose.
Often we hear that it's so expensive to do this that normal average people can't do it. Can you talk a little bit about the costs for the house?
Well, this was back in '07 when prices for solar panels were a whole lot higher. The biggest cost for us is because we are off the grid. We have about $10,000 worth of batteries. But other than that, we built the system ourselves. In Ontario, we needed to have, where our house is, about 6 hours away from here, we needed to have an Ontario engineer hook it up. He got there at the very end to plug in about 4 wires. And the interesting part was that the building inspector, the electrical inspector, came out to inspect it. And turns out that the guy who was plugging our solar in was the guy who had conducted the class to teach him how to install or how to check out solar. So it was a pretty easy permit to get. But it's all worked very well. It's been flawless since 2007. In fact, we had it hooked up in time for the working folks to turn off their generators and use this energy to finish the house.
Wow.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Thank you, Andy.